Hello everybody, my name is Hope Lindsay, and today I'm going to be presenting on the topic of dealing with conflict. I will be talking about how the brain responds to conflict and providing helpful tips that we can both use and share in our classrooms. The three questions that I am aiming to answer within this presentation are: how does the brain respond to conflict? What does this look like in adolescents specifically? And what tips can we teach our students? The part of the brain that responds to conflict is called the amygdala, and the amygdala has three options when it chooses to respond, and those three options are fight, flight, or freeze. The option to fight might look like standing up for yourself or standing up to the conflict. The option of flight may look like running away or avoiding the conflict at hand. And the option of freezing is kind of like a deer in headlights kind of situation where you're not choosing to fight or flight. You're just kind of freezing up and not choosing to do anything. Another thing that the amygdala can do is called the amygdala hijack. What this is an irrational response due to anger or fear. And how this might play out in a real-world situation is in the heat of the moment or in the height of your emotions. You may say something or do something that you might not be proud of the next day, and it might leave you kind of kicking yourself and wondering, why did I do that? Why did I say that? And that can be thanks to your amygdala and what is called an amygdala hijack. What does this mean for adolescents, though? Well, the amygdala is going through some changes in adolescence, and these changes are both functional and structural. As far as structural change goes, we see that the volume of the amygdala grows during puberty in both boys and girls. Functionally, we can see more activity being exhibited in the amygdala in response to all emotional expressions. The amount of activity exhibited in the amygdala of adolescents is more than in the amygdala of in children or in adults. Another thing that's worthy of mentioning is that the amygdala is regulated by the prefrontal cortex. And as we know, this is still developing in our adolescent students' brains. So as a result of the amygdala having more activity exhibited and the amygdala being regulated by another part of the brain that's not yet fully developed, we have adolescent students that are exhibiting rash emotional behavior and more amygdala hijacks. So when it comes to conflict resolution or dealing with conflicts, our adolescent students are kind of battling with a mind that has not so healthy tendencies in these conflict situations. So it's important that we provide tips for our students in order for them to have healthier strategies in their dealings with conflict. Some of the tips that we can teach in our classrooms are I statements. And I statements are where you speak from your emotions and your experiences. An example of this could be, I feel neglected when you are on your phone while I'm talking to you. And you would say this in exchange of, you're always on your phone, you never listen to me, you don't care about what I'm talking about, you don't care about me. You know, these are the kinds of accusations we're trying to avoid and trying to encourage our students to avoid. And we want to encourage them with clear, specific communication of their emotions. Another tip would be to calm down before engaging with conflict. If we engage, or if our students engage in conflict before they are out of that height of emotions, they are putting themselves at risk of an amygdala hijack, which is something we want to encourage them to try to avoid. So we'll encourage them to calm down before engaging with that conflict. Another tip would be to make the relationship your priority, or encourage them to make the relationship their priority. And what this means is to remember that the relationship is more important than winning an argument. That person is more important than the conflict. Another tip is to focus on the present, and this would mean not to bring up past events or past hurts, but just to focus on the task at hand, the problem at hand, and coming to a compromise or resolution with the matter at hand right now. And the last tip that I have is being willing to forgive. If we go into a conflict resolution without a willingness to forgive, then there's just not going to be a compromise or a resolution found. We have to be willing to forgive in order to move forward and find that resolution. These are my resources. Thank you for listening, and I hope that this information will help you in your future classrooms.